with the watermelon.
I thought that was funny, and that was totally because I understand Family Guy and Seth MacFarlane's jokes. I totally got that.
But I have a wonderful story for this.
And I love that Jamie Foxx showed up in the end.
So I went to go watch this movie with my good friend Television's Dave Landau, and we went to I believe the mall up there by like 86th.
Yep.
By the Keystone at the Crossing,
Mm-hmm.
And we go in. We're like 20 minutes early before the movie because we wanted to make sure we got good seats. And so we're the only two people there.
I was going to say we're the only ones that showed up.
We're the only ones in the theater, and we sit down, like, the best seats. By the way, here's a life hack, I think is what they call them. Best seats in a movie theater are always the front row of the balcony section. Because all movie theaters now pretty much have those one where it's like 8 rows very on the floor, down there right in front of the screen. Then they have that, little divider, and then there's like the barricade, the gate, and then the top half, right? That first row there is the best, because if you get a spot in the middle there with the gate in front of you, you have a place to put your feet up and rest, and it's just, you have nobody in front of you. It's the best seats, right? So that's where we're sitting. We have a seat in front of us, of course, because, we're straight men watching a movie. And all of a sudden, this couple comes in, and best way to describe them is it's Donald Sterling, Chris Tucker from The Fifth Element is his wife, and their child of, when you combine those two, whatever that was.
Combine those.
I mean, and he
whatever alchemy that created.
like he kind of looked like a young Tito Santana. So they come in and literally sit next to Dave, like the next seats.
There's
right
like an entire row of seats.
No, there's an entire theater of seats.
They were the only ones in there.
And they go and sit right next to him. And Dave just looks at me and kind of mouths goes, "What the fuck? Are you kidding me?" So he's like, we should move, right? I'm like, yeah, let's go. So we move up closer to the top. And of course, this guy and his girlfriend who sit behind us as the movie starts playing are talking. And it wouldn't have been so bad. I hate people talking, period. That's a big pet peeve of mine. I almost hate going to movies anymore because I can't stand when people have to make some sort of noise or talk or whatever. But the guy says to his girlfriend when Liam Neeson comes on the first time in the movie, he leans over his girlfriend and goes, "That's Liam Neeson." Who the fuck needs to explain who Liam Neeson is? And he starts explaining like he was a guy in Taken. And
well, if she ever sees his cock, she'll never forget.
So it's just it was
allegedly
it was a terrible movie going experience. But the movie itself, and then the other weird thing was Dave and I were the only ones laughing through the movie, so it was just awkward because it ended up being kind of full, about probably 40 people.
Oh,
and we were the only two. Yeah, we were the only two that laughed.
They just didn't get
it.
I saw it and yeah, there were parts where I laughed. I thought were funny, but overall, I was like, it wasn't all that great, and it wasn't because I went in with high expectations either. I mean, yeah. I saw Ted, so I wasn't expecting a lot.
Yeah, comedy. Ted's great. Comedy is subjective, so it's not for everybody. Yeah. But I thought it got a bad rap. I thought when people were saying it was terrible, I didn't understand that.
I think it's just because they, like you said, they had an expectation of exactly what they were going to get, and it wasn't that.
It's original.
That was the end of it.
Original, which actually. Sorry, go ahead.
I thought the Doc Brown cameo was hilarious.
Yeah,
and then the ice block. When I fell down. Yeah, it's in the trailer. Well,
it's in the trailer, but
I still laughed at it.
Giovanni Ribisi and Sarah Silverman were perfect.
Oh my god, they were hilarious.
Oh god, yes. You know what this is? To me, it's kind of akin to Blazing Saddles.
Yeah,
and it was one of those things where it was so out there that people were just like, "What the hell is this?" You know, and it wasn't what people were expecting. They got something completely different from what they thought they were going to be getting, and that killed it for them. But for people who actually enjoy that kind of comedy and that kind of writing, it was a great movie.
It's original, which you can't say much about a lot of the movies that come out anymore. Is it's a completely original idea in a way, and which is a great transition. Number 3 was Godzilla for me, which we already discussed, which goes into my number 2, the most original movie I have seen in years, Tusk. Kevin Smith's Tusk. Jesus fucking Christ. So, if you haven't seen the movie, you may want to skip ahead a little bit because this is a movie. The best way to go into this movie is not knowing what this movie is about.
Dude, there was a lot of what the fuck moments for me in that movie.
I had no clue what this movie was about, and the person I went with was like, "No, don't read up on it. Don't watch. Don't Google anything on it."
And who was it you went with to see that?
Television's Dave Landau again. We go to
I remember this conversation.
We go to a lot of movies when we're on the road.
I remember this conversation.
Sometimes that's about the only fun thing to do. That or heroin, or sometimes we mix the both. Yeah. But no, so we go. So I go in not knowing anything about this movie, and I just know it had Justin Long in it, and I like Justin Long. I think he's a really good actor. And basically, the movie's just he responds to an ad to get a good story from a man who then turns him into a human walrus.
Yeah,
all because some kid who basically commits suicide screws up his
the
trip.
ninja kid,
screws up his trip.
which was basically Star Wars.
Yeah, the Star Wars kid.
You want to hear something that was kind of fucked up about that movie experience as well? So when we went and watched it, we were performing at the Comedy Zone in Greensboro. And did you ever notice the scenes where they show the computer screen that they're looking at? It's the Comedy Zone. It's him, because he's a failed former comedian. It's him on stage at the Comedy Zone.
Is it really?
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
So the club we were playing at that weekend was in the fucking movie we were watching. Nice. And we were honestly like, okay, maybe it was just a bad week in Greensboro. It was not a fun week, so it was just like almost like the fucking club was taunting us.
You realize now you're doing a podcast. Luckily you're not a failed comedian.
No. So, I do.
Don't answer any. Don't go to anyone's house.
Comedy Zone shows are the best.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of Kevin's podcasts, so I got a lot of the jokes that were in there. Unlike my wife, who was just like.
Mortified.
Not laughing.
Terrified.
No, she wasn't. I mean, she thought it was all right.
I mean, it's a fucked up when you start seeing him when you see him for the first time as the walrus and that fucking pen thing. It's creepy. I mean, it's
like just like you. Like I listen to Kevin Smith, all the time. I listened to the episode where they came up with the idea for it. I know the whole thing behind it. I know the jokes that they put into it, but. The part for me that was just the most screwed up about it is just the actual visual of what he did. Like what's coming, kind of because you know what the story is. Yeah. But then to actually see how they did it
doesn't prepare you.
Yeah, I was just like, what the hell? Then there's a scene in there that really creeped me out, and I don't know why, but I was just like. If you notice, I think it's when he dumps him in the water, maybe, or maybe when he goes over, but he's on that rock. And at some point, Justin Long sucks his entire head inside of that suit. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on there, but that just completely creeped me out when I see he had his head and then he pops it back out. I was like,
when he's back up on the deck area, his head comes out. Which at one point you're thinking. Okay, maybe they probably should have cut that.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe it was just an editing faux pas.
But if you think about it, this is a suit that this dude just made up hours before. Well, it's not perfect.
Grafted it onto him. I know that, right? But it's still just like the.
So it actually fits in fine to the actual scene.
The feeling I had after I watched this movie. Was the same feeling I had after I watched Requiem for a Dream. I hadn't had that feeling of just, I know what I watched was really good, but I felt really I felt uncomfortable.
Right. That's exactly
it. It was hard to do those shows that night. Because all I could fucking think about was this dude,
rolling like crazy with his tongue.
Did you wait through the credits? If you would have sat through the credits, that song that was playing, after it ends, it cuts to part of the podcast where they're talking.
We did. We listened to that, yeah.
Okay, for anybody listening, sit through the credits, you'll hear Kevin and Scott Mosier talking about what they could do at the end of the movie, which is exactly what they did. They changed it a little bit, but for the most part, it's the exact same thing. And they're laughing about the whole thing. Especially laughing about the fighting. Yeah. and so, as they're saying it, I'm actually laughing now when I wasn't when I saw it. So yeah, I that definitely I was like, that's definitely got to go in my top 10.
In my brain, I'm going, couldn't they have just reversed this and like at least given this dude a little bit of fucking,
Well, no, and
a little bit of peace?
well, no, that's why I said it reminded me of Requiem for a Dream. They don't sew it all up at the end. You
Yeah,
know, there's
yeah.
no happy ending. Like at the
Yeah.
end of Requiem for a Dream, Jared Leto's missing half of his arm. Marlon Wayans is going to die in a racist Southern prison, and Jennifer Connelly is having dildos shoved up her ass for heroin. Like
Right.
that's how they tell you. All right, credits.
That's the end.
I
And
don't
Ellen
even
Burstein's in a
remember.
psych ward.
Finny.
I've seen that movie so long ago.
What,
don't
Requiem
remember.
for a Dream?
Yeah.
I owned it on DVD, right? Because I love the movie after I watched it, even though I felt really uncomfortable. And as I have it on DVD, right? I'm living with this girl, and she sees it, and she's like, "I want to watch this," and I'm like, "No, you don't." And she's like, "Yeah, I do," and I'm like, "No, you don't." And she's like, "No, I really do." So I was like, "Okay." I was like, "I'm telling you right now. I mean, you're not going to
You're
feel
gonna
right
change your mind
at the end of
afterwards.
it. You're not going to feel right at the end of it." And so I fall asleep because it's a longer movie, and I've seen it 1,000 times at this point. And I wake up as the credits are starting to roll, and she's in like the fetal position, just rocking back and forth, going, "You're right. I shouldn't have watched it. Nope, shouldn't have watched it. I don't feel right. I don't feel right at all. You're right. I shouldn't have watched it."
Nice.
All right. So what's your number one?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yay! Thank you.
Love that movie.
My number 2.
That's my number one as well.
Ah.
We actually agreed on something here, folks. See, that doesn't happen too often. But yeah,
We'll go ahead. No, we'll go ahead.
Yeah,
We'll,
go ahead. It's fine.
All right. Well, I mean, it's to me the only superhero movie that holds a candle to The Dark Knight, as far as a complete movie, all aspects of it. Even people who are, my girlfriend is not a comic book person. She's not into any of that at all, and loves that movie because just it's a good movie.
yeah, I saw it. Vic and I went and saw it. Saw the sneak preview. What was it, like 2 days before it was
Yep.
open? And
la-di-da.
we got done, and
I know people.
I was like, oh man, it was amazing. I just
Yeah.
loved it so much.
I think one of the best things about the movie is the fact that people didn't know anything about it. Like, it wasn't something that a lot of people know anything about. You know, comic book aficionados, people who know, the history of the things, yeah, they know it, but it was such a clean slate for them to work with. They could have done anything with it, and no one could really dispute what they were doing. And the only thing that bugged me was the ending, was the after shot, the end shot with
Howard the Duck?
Yes.
What's wrong with that? That was
It was just like the most obscure possible thing. Like, I'm not mad at him, but it's just like,
I think that's. I thought it was funny.
what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice touch.
I was just like,
I mean,
Seth Green.
Yeah, he did the voice.
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, for something like that, you got to know James' humor, and for him to stick that in there,
It was just so
wasn't surprising
obscure.
at all.
And when we're gonna look back on this movie in a few years and be like, oh, that was Chris Pratt's, like, that was the vehicle to superstardom right there, because he's been around for a lot longer than people realize.
absolutely.
Like
Moneyball.
Huh?
He was in Moneyball.
Beyond that, he was in the OC back in like 2003,
Oh, was he really? I didn't watch that
He was
show.
in the last season. He played the guy that she's so hot. What's her name? Rachel Bilson. Her character meets at college, and he was this rich kid who was basically acting like a poor dirt hippie who was fighting for like the earth and everything else. But he was really good at that. He was really funny in that, and I became a fan of his theirs. And then he started on Parks and Rec, which was like 2008. I think is when that show debuted.
Yeah,
for their
somewhere around
6th
there.
season. Yeah, and he's one of those people. He's great in everything he does,
Yeah, I really enjoyed Guardians as well too.
and I'm looking forward to him in Jurassic Park.
I'm sure you are.
I'm also
Wow.
glad that they didn't give up the ghost in the movie about his dad.
Yeah,
The
that's
fact that they left that out
yeah. We'll
for future use.
Yeah, we'll hear about that in the sequel. I'm sure.
Well, and that's that was the other thing. One part of the movie though that what's his name? Kronos or not? Is it Kronos? The guy, the big guy that's the
Thanos.
Thanos. So is that all he does all day? He just sits on this what?
Thanos is okay. So, how far do you want me to take?
How does he pass? No, I'm just saying, how does he pass the time?
He's just short of a god, so he does whatever the hell he wants, and his favorite thing to do is to manipulate people. So that's pretty much what he does. And when he's not doing that, and if he gets a hold of all those gems, then he's a bigger problem
Shit's
than
gonna
anybody would ever
I know.
want. That's what he
I've always
does.
wondered about that.
He just likes manipulating situations and
I think
he's just floating.
I think he was just thinking about like on a side story.